The Tirpitz, second and last battleship of the Bismarck class, was the largest warship built in Germany and posed a serious threat to Allied ships during World War II. It was so dangerous to Allied forces that Winston Churchill made its destruction a priority. In January 1942, he said, "The destruction or even crippling of this ship is the greatest event at sea at the present time. No other target is comparable to it." And so in the early hours of November the 12th, 1944, RAF airfields across Scotland buzz with activity. Resonating with the rumble of Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, nearly 3 dozen modified Lancaster heavy bombers from the 9th and 617th Squadrons taxi into position on runways shrouded in darkness. Inside, eager young pilots and crew make last-minute preparations for the impending attack. If all goes according to plan, they'll deliver a serious blow to the vaunted Kriegsmarine. If not, for some it may be a one-way trip. Now, one by one, the Lancasters thunder down the runway and lift into the sky. Affixed to hardpoints inside each bomb bay is a gargantuan high-explosive wrecking machine called a Tallboy. At 21 feet long and tipping the scales at 12,000 pounds or 5,400 kilograms, they're super heavy, high-penetration bombs designed to take out hardened structures like rocket sites, railway tunnels and U-boat pens. Their target today, though, is the Tirpitz. And at almost 800 feet long at the waterline and displacing nearly 52,000 tons fully loaded, she's protected by 13 inches of steel armor and bristling with guns of every description, the largest of which fire 15-inch projectiles weighing nearly 2,000 pounds at a distance of 22 miles. It's not the first time that the Tirpitz has been attacked. In fact, it's been attacked 24 times before, and for years the RAF and Royal Navy have assaulted the giant ship with carrier-based torpedo bombers, Special Forces frogmen, and mini-subs carrying explosive charges. During Operation Tungsten in April of 1944, Barracuda bombers attacked Tirpitz with 1,600-pound bombs. The ship flooded but was repaired within months. In August of 1944, during Operation Goodwood, nearly 70 carrier-based bombers attacked, but a thick smokescreen prevented them from inflicting any real damage. Then, just a few months before Operation Catechism, there was Operation Paravane, the first mission in which the RAF dispatched Lancasters armed with Tallboys to strike Tirpitz in a fjord in Norway. Braving nearly 100 flak guns, one bomb scored a direct hit, damaging the rudder and causing minor flooding. But again, repairs were made quickly. Now it's the turn of Operation Catechism. Will this time be any different? Gaining altitude steadily to 14,000 feet, the pilots set the throttles for optimum cruising speed at just over 200 miles an hour before rendezvousing with the others at the coast and heading across to the Sea of Norway. En route, several lose their way in the mire and one has mechanical problems and has to turn back. Then, just before sunup, the 29 remaining bombers slip through a tiny gap in the German coastal defences. Ahead, despite having 3 55,000 horsepower engines capable of propelling the ship to 30 knots in the open sea, Tirpitz is moored and vulnerable in a fjord near the city of Tromsø. Approaching the target, Wing Commander James Bryan Willie Tate fires a flare, the predetermined signal to commence with the attack. Grouped into individual gaggles of between 4 and 6 aircraft at various altitudes, the Lancaster now descend to just 2,000 feet to try and evade the German anti-aircraft fire. Banking northwest, the radio men and the navigators are following a signal being transmitted by Norwegian partisans. But though the Tirpitz's crew has been reduced by nearly 800 men, they're on guard, and unbeknownst to the British airmen, her giant guns have been modified for long-range air defense use. She's also protected by 2 dedicated anti-aircraft ships, support boats with smoke generators, and fighters from JG-5. Then, the guns on and around Tirpitz open up in a bevy of blinding flashes and deafening cracks, sending supersonic projectiles hurtling towards the Lancasters. Lining up thousands of yards out, the planes thunder over the fjord and release their deadly payloads. Once released, the crews wait 30 long seconds for the results. Some Tallboys miss their mark and slam into the cliffs and sandbanks along the shore. On the ship, the crew hold their breath as a giant Tallboy bomb thunders down and hammers into the deck near the forward gun. There's a cry of anguish as the crew wait for the inevitable explosion. But to their immense relief, the Tallboy fails to detonate. but another tears down and smashes into the base of the Tirpitz's superstructure. There's a crang and shriek of metal, and a huge chunk of armor belt is blown away, tearing a gaping hole in the hull. With a massive yellow flash, another obliterates a 16-inch gun turret. Due to serious flaws in her design, Tirpitz doesn't have watertight compartments where they're needed most, and in the chaos, crewmen failed to close hatches designed to contain the flooding in the event of damage. Now, well into the attack, German FW-190s are scrambled. Getting in position over the Tirpitz, the German pilots are dismayed to find the Lancasters are nowhere to be seen and have turned for home. Back on the ship, a column of steam and smoke shoots up to about 300 feet, and within a few minutes, Tirpitz starts to list badly. The captain, Weber, knows it's critical and reluctantly orders the crew to abandon his armored citadel. Through the smoke and carnage, most sailors jump into the water and begin swimming to shore. But like a cork, a devastating explosion tosses a massive turret nearly 100 feet into the air. And when it comes down, it lands amidst a swarm of stricken seamen, taking most to their watery graves. About 10 minutes after the first bomb struck, the Tirpitz has completely turned turtle, with only the hull visible from the air. All told, out of just 1,500 crew, it's estimated that the Germans lost between 950 and 1,200. Captain Weber and all senior officers went down with their ship. Though some Lancasters received minor damage from flak, every single crew and plane returned home safely. Winston Churchill, FDR, and Joseph Stalin all sent messages of congratulation to the airmen for finally destroying the infamous German monster, which ironically, according to some historians, never actually fired a shot at an enemy surface ship during the war. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and please watch more videos of ours. Thank you.